الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Okay, put your pens down. The test is over. Okay, no problem. Alhamdulillah. Hands. Assalamu alaikum. We just took a test, walhamdulillah, and so we're going to go over the answers for the test. Someone recite to me. This is your quiz number 1. This was not a test, actually, it's a quiz. Okay? A quiz, when you have a few questions, they're very brief, and you just give the answer to the test. We have very detailed questions. And from my experience is that the more you quiz your students, the sharper they become. Okay? One of the things that we did, maybe 10 months ago, we said we weren't going to quiz because of the video and all this other stuff like that. And I see a big flaw in that. People who are watching, they got to watch. They got to deal with this is the type of learning that takes place. It's not as exciting sometimes if you haven't studied. But if you studied, then you're excited to get this stuff down on paper and to be questioned. And like I said, the more you get in the habit of being quizzed, the more you're able to regurgitate the information, the more easier it is when you get into different issues. Because you're accustomed to it. It's part of the course. First, quiz number 1. Your quizzes will have approximately 5 questions, 1 extra credit question. Naam, labaik. The first question was what?
The first question was
how many sciences are there in Arabic? Right? Or however you want to word that. How many sciences are there, ulum, in Arabic? How many are there? There are 13 sciences in Arabic. Okay? The next question was, that was number 1. Number 2 was what? Name them. Period. No, I have a darker one. Yes. Name them. Oh, it's not really that dark. Okay, I'm going to try blue. Let's try that again. Name them. Somebody, start naming them. Okay, we have sarf, right? And then what's the next one? Nahwu. What's the next one? Ar-rasmi, right? Rasmu. What's the next one? Insha'u, right? What's the next one? Balagha. Badi'u. Badi'u bayan, right? But bayan comes before badi'u. Naam? Bayan, badi'u, and then what's the other one? Ma'ani. F1. Ma'ani. Okay, what's the next one? Qardu. Shi'r. And then you have arud. And qawafi. Okay, what's the next one? Khataba. And what's the next one? And then you have tarikh, right? Or history. What's the next one? Last? Mutun. Okay. These are the 13 sciences of Arabic. Someone read or recite for me the poem that encompasses these 13 sciences. This should be in a different order.
The sciences of Arabic are 13 arts of rhetoric. Start off with sarf and nahwu.
Do
ar-rasmu.
What? And sha'u.
Do ar-rasmu plus al-insha'u. Bayan breaks it down in 3.
Balagha
breaks it down in 3. Bayan. Badi'u ma'ani. Then qardu shi'r or poetry. Arudu mixed with qawafi. Qataba brings the art of speech. History is what they teach.
And if the text is all mutun,
if text are all mutun you see, then you have gathered all the keys.
Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim. Do you see how if you memorize, this becomes easy? If you memorize the poem, there is a place for it. The place for it is now you can name all 13 sciences and know if you've forgotten one. Because by following the rhythm, you realize I've missed something. I may not know. Then you go to someone who knows. How do you know he knows? Because he's your classmate. Because he's studying the text. You have a classic that you can go to, a primer, and you say, okay, let me review that so that I know these are the 13 sciences. Can someone come to you and say there are 14 sciences in Arabic? No. If they talk about a particular subject, it falls under one of these 13. It's a subsection of one of these, as you'll learn as we go through them. Now, as we study, well, I'll get to the lesson. Let's get through this. Okay, next question. What's the third question?
How many parts?
Louder and clearer.
How many parts Balagha has?
How many parts are there to Balagha? How many parts? There are 3 parts, right? There are 3 parts to Balagha. What are they? Bayan, Badi'u, and Ma'ani. Okay? What does Balagha mean? Balagha is the art of eloquence. Tabarakallah. What's the next question?
What is the science of...
No arms. Next person.
What is poetry called in Arabic?
What is poetry called in Arabic? Or we could say as a terminology. What is it called? Qardu. Was there another part of this question? And what are the parts of it, right? What are the parts of Arabic poetry? What are they? There is arud. And what's the next part? And qawafi. What is qardu shi'r? It is the art of versification. Right? It is the art of the verse. The story of it all, right? We should know that. Okay, now, let me just ask you, what is arud then?
That refers to the scales of...
How many scales, son?
16.
The 16 scales, right? That's right. So, arud, don't break the format. Beat it in the student's head. When you mention arud, you mention the what? The 16 scales or meters of poetry, right? And then what is qawafi?
That's the last letter.
What is, it's the rhyme of it all, right? It's the, we all, they say. You always hear this when you listen to a scholars. They used to say, what are they talking about? They're teachers. They don't know who originated the statement because everybody's saying the same thing. You hear Imam Abu Hanifa saying the same thing, Imam Malik. You understand? Say Layth saying the same thing. All these different shuyukh. Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahumullahu jami'an. That's what we have to imitate that and keep saying the same thing and mentioning it in the same way. Arud is what? The art of the 16 scales. Qawafi is what? The rhyme of it all, the last letter, right? Or thereof. Okay? So, qardu shi'r. What's the 5th question?
Define the science of Khataba.
Define. No. Khataba. What is it? I'm sorry. Jazakumullah khair. Then, so the next question is what? What's the next question?
The most important science of Arabic science.
What is the 2 most important sciences? What are? Okay, thank you. What are the 2 most important sciences in Arabic? No, it should not. Because the Quran and Hadith are not sciences in Arabic.
Write my answer, Sarf and Nahu.
Oh, okay, so what is the answer? As-sarfu wa nahwu, right?
I write Sarf and Nahu.
And some people say an-nahwu was sarf. Okay? But your teacher told you what? As-sarf and nahwu. Why?
Because Sarf is the part.
I don't want your answer. I want your answer. Go ahead. No ums. Yes, ma'am.
Because those are according to you, those are the two most important.
I already knew that when I asked you that. Yes.
Because of the language barrier.
No ums. Go ahead, sir.
Sarf is the etymology. If I don't know the word, how I going to know I can use in the.
Thank you very much. Sarf is the etymology of the word. Go back to your asl. Go back to your origin. The origin is, what is sarf? Sarf is breaking a word down. What is nahwu? Nahwu is understanding a word after it's been entered into a sentence. How can I enter a word into a sentence that I don't know? Didn't Daddy always used to say, don't use words you don't know? Right? So then you got to know the word before you can use the word. Therefore, according to me, sarf is more important than nahwu. Beginning of students. Ya Hindu skuti anti. Okay? So, and that is why. Do you understand why now, sir?
Yes.
Tell me why then. Tell us all why. Loud and clear. Hands off the floor, please.
Because you have to understand the word before you can put it into a sentence.
Well, which one of these sciences teaches us what the word means? No ums.
Nahwu.
Nahwu?
Nahwu.
No. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Someone correct him. Give him. See, that's why I told you guys I do not accept one-word answers. Clarify. Make it plain. What does sarf mean?
Sarf is the science through which you study the word before you place it into a sentence.
That's what you're saying. What is nahwu?
Nahnu is the word which is.
No ums. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Nahwu is the science of the word before you enter it, after you enter it into a sentence.
Thank you. Nahwu is the science through which we study a word after we've entered it into a sentence. We have to keep doing this, and you guys have to start answering it. You see what happens when you go home and study? You start answering the questions. And that's what's supposed to happen here. Each one, teach one. Right? Now, do you understand why sarf is more important, sir?
A little bit. I'm going to get there.
Okay, well, alhamdulillah. Tell me what sarf means.
Sarf is the science of sciences of.
We'll let you go with that Go ahead.
The science of a word before it's entered into a sentence.
And what is nahwu? Nahwu.
Nahwu is the science of a word you understand it before a sentence.
After nahwu.
After a sentence.
Right. So nahwu is grammar, where sarf is etymology. Etymology is the science of studying a word before entering it into a sentence, and nahwu is the science of studying the grammar of a word after it's into a sentence. Let's move on. Define khataba. Define khataba. I know I write chicken scratch, but that's too bad. Khataba. We have a lot to do. Come on, guys.
Khatab is the art of speech, of one speaking on their feet.
Thank you. Khatabism is somebody kicking the willy bobo right off the top of their head while they're standing on their 2 feet without looking at waraqa wala kitab. He's not looking at a piece of paper or not reading from a book. It's not something that he has previously thought about saying, but his words come out in a clear format, keeping the points in order so that the listener can follow him. I call it the art of the willy bobo. They say kicking the willy bobo, you're talking, but making yourself clear. How is it different from khitaba? Hesitation kills people. How is it different from khitaba? Ooh, I know somebody. Yes, ma'am. Take it up for the sisters. Okay?
Tablet's reading out of the book.
No.
Is the ending of
No.
line ending?
No. Do you answer the question, sir? Do you know the answer, sir? Okay, well, the answer is...
Something ishara.
Excuse me?
It's a ishara. something.
No. Alhamdulillah, barakallah fikum. Okay. Khitaba and khataba. Everybody say khitaba and khataba. Khataba. Khataba is what we just spoke about. Somebody standing on his irtijal al-kalam. A man standing on his rijlay, on his feet, talking. Well, khitaba is what a man does when he wants to marry a woman. He gives her a khitbah, right? So that is called khitaba, right? With the kasra is when you want to get married to that lady, do a khitaba. When you want to speak, you do a khataba. If you're going to speak at a particular time on Friday in front of the people, they call it a khutbah. So you see the difference? Okay, is there any other questions? Was this answered? This was the sixth one, this was the fifth one, right? All those were all the questions for the quiz, right? Okay, take the quiz out your paper and pass it forward. I'll hand them back to you and you can keep them in your folders. I will grade them myself. Okay, just collect them for me, please. Okay, now I need you to erase the board for me, please. Now we're going to go to today's lesson. I'm going to hit this up. Come on, let's move quick, people. Oh, sorry. Let's go. Hind, atini awrak. Hurry up, hurry up. Eat it and beat it, no smoking and joking. Get it and go.
Everything?
Everything, sir. Shukran jazilan. Okay, while we're waiting, no, let me get my thoughts right. Astaghfirullahil azim. No, we can't do anything until you can write down your homework. Your homework, while we're waiting for him to put the stuff on the board, write down your homework. Homework. And I'm going to try to find a way to fine you if you do not give my homework. You have to do, I'm serious, it's really heart-wrenching. You know, when we give assignments, you got to do these assignments. You know? There's got to be a way to motivate you people to do the assignments. Okay? The homework is, you will write a short biography. You will write a short biography on a man named Ibn al-Nadim. I will explain to you who he is briefly. Ibn al-Nadim. Excuse me?
Can you please spell it?
You will look him up on the internet by his book, The Fihrist, or Al-Fihrist. The Fihrist. And Al-Nadim, they'll have it in A-L-N-A-D-I-M or E-E-M. One of those two. Like that. The Fihrist or Al-Fihrist. You can look him up and find out who he was. What this is, now this is what I was talking about earlier. As we go through these sciences, we talk about tariq. What is the science of tariq? You can look in your notes and tell me what a tariq is. An-Nadim or An-Nadim. Like that, depending on how they spell it. Ibn al-Nadim or Abu Faraj. I'm sorry, let me go back. We have 13 sciences, right? The science of the science of tariq is one of the 13 sciences, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. That being the case, what does tariq mean?
That it means history.
History. In Arabic, it means awwalu shay hatta al-an. Nam bidayatu shay, the beginning of something, from that time up until its hadr, until its present time. How do you learn tariq? When we're talking about language, you learn it every day. As you study sarf and nahwu and everything, you're learning tariq. You understand? So that science you only get through the constant study of the language or that science. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Yes or no? Okay, that being the case here, you're starting to learn some more science, some other sciences besides the one. We said this is the complete Arabic course, right? This homework of science falls under the science of tariq, or history. Ibn al-Nadim, just giving you some brief understanding of who he is, the person you're going to be writing about. He is a bookseller. He was a bookseller and he used to make his living writing out manuscripts. He used to write out manuscripts back in the days when they didn't have printers. Okay, and big publishing companies. So he wrote a book. It's called The Fihrist. The Fihrist means index. Okay, an index or the index. And what is it an index of? It's an index of Arabic works that were written, original Arabic classics. We're talking about classics now. Okay? We spoke about what a classic was. Someone tell me what a classic is. No, yeah, that is a classic. Tell me what a classic is. Don't give me an example of a classic. What is a classic? Al-Kitab al-Asl, the original book. A work that other works are established upon. A primer source that other people refer back to as a reference. So he wrote a book called The Index, where he indexed in this book the history of the Arabic language. You understand my point here? He made the index of the history of the Arabic language and other known languages at that time. Okay? Then he also put in there Arabic classics before the entrance of the Greeks. Okay? Why did he do that? Because during his lifetime, I mean, he's a bookseller, he noticed that the Arabs were beginning to translate a lot of Greek works. Greek classics. And he didn't want it to become confused in the future where someone would take this Arabic work and think that this Arabic work was actually a classic in Arabic, when actually it was a translation of a Greek classic. And he wanted to differentiate between those works that were originally from the Arabs and those works that were translated into the Arabs and then used by them. Do you understand? You will do a short essay on no more than 500 words. Okay, you don't have to be that long, at least 250. You have to write a couple of paragraphs on who was Ibn al-Nadim and what he did and what was the Fihrist. Okay? And I already given you somewhat of it. Is that easy assignment? If you have any questions, you can call Hakeem anytime during the week and he'll help you how to do the internet and everything like that and find it and probably give you some resource. UCLA has a good writing up of him also, and Winnipeg, or I guess that type of thing like that. Okay? His book Al-Fihrist is still used. It was translated, I think, in like 1600s by the Masonic Society of the world, and they have it out there. So do that.
That's how you find his name like that.
Al-Fihrist or the Fihrist or An-Nadim or An-Nadim. You look it up, Google it, and you'll find it. Inshallah.
Where's the lesson?
The lesson is, 1 second, please. Excuse me? Can I go here, please? Right here.
All right, go back.
All right. Now that we have our homework, let's do our assignment. Everybody take out the handout that they have today. As Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Your second lesson is, or lesson 2 is the alphabet. Your first lesson was what? What was the first lesson that you took? Come on, people, hesitation kills. What are the sciences of Arabic, right? What is Arabic? What are the sciences of Arabic? That's the reason why the lessons are put in a stair-step manner, so that you can have as what we call an outline in your head of how to teach. What comes first? And if you're taught in a proper manner, no holes are in your understanding of the language, because something that's supposed to be there is there. Does that make sense? Okay, now, first thing was, what is Arabic? What is language? What is the Arabic language? You know, who are Arabs? How are they famous? How are they preserved? And we said the Quran and the Hadith and the Thuqat al-Arab, they preserve the Arabic language, and languages are many. What do they do? The purpose of languages is to express the agrad, the needs and desires of the people. Right? They use the same sounds for the most part, but they mean different things. We use the example of wow. If you say wow in Olaf, that means yes. If you say wow in English, it means ista'ajab. I'm amazed at something. But it's the same exact pronunciation, different language. Now we went on to say the sciences of Arabic. The sciences of Arabic are 13 sciences of rhetoric, right? Start off with sarf, then nahwu, du, rasmu, and al-insha'u. And then we went all the way down to qardu shit, and then tarikh, and then we go on to what? Mutun. And then you have all the keys. Here, we're going to deal with the alphabet. The alphabet is the next chronological thing that you have to do if you're studying the Arabic sciences. There are two ways of learning the alphabet, the Arabic alphabet. There is a traditional method and there is the modern method. You will learn both of them. You will learn both of them, insha'Allah ta'ala. First thing, we're going to start off with the traditional method. The traditional method is, rise up some please, is to memorize this statement. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, qurishat, thaqid, dadig. Or thaqud, dadug, but it's better to say thaqid, dadig. This is the first thing that you have to do. Abjad, everybody recite after me. Abjad. How? If I can't hear you, we're going to do this all year. Because, it don't make no sense to go further. We spoke earlier just talking about methodology and minhaj. Everybody complains, says, the teacher's always holding back. The teacher don't want to go further. Why are we going back this way? Why don't we go forward? You can't go forward till you complete where you're at. Complete. No one gets 0, remember? No one gets 65. No one gets 85 or 99. You get 100. You know it or you don't know it. And that's just the bottom line with anything. The thing that has held us back, us here in the West, is the fact that we haven't actually studied. We've gone to lectures, we've been amazed at different processes, but we haven't studied. And studied the right thing so that it can take us from the nigger behavior that we have to the lofty behavior of Islam. That's what our problem is. And if we're going to go further, yes, we're going to have to start with Arabic language because it is the key. The first and most important key into entering into Islam. So, let's open up. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, kurishat, thaqid, dadir. Say it again.
Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, kurishat, thaqid, dadir.
Okay, now, because it's transliterated at this point, I have to make some clear corrections. Sa'fas, it's seen, and this is sad. So it's sa'fas. Say sa, seen, sa, with an ain, a fa, and a sad. Sa'fas. Kurishat. Thaqid is with a tha, okay, not with a dhal. Thaqid, dadid. Thaqid, dadig. Okay, so abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman. Loud. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, kurishat, thaqid, dadig. These, if you learn that statement, abjad, say it. Abjad. What you learn is that there are 4 letters in almost every one of these words. Each name is some letters. Abjad is alifun, ba, jim, and dal. Say abjad. Hawaz. Ha, wa, za. Huttiya. Ha, ta, ya. Kaliman. Kaf, lam, mim, nun. Sa'fas. Sin, ain, fa, sad. Qurishat. Qaf, ra, shin, ta. Thaqid. Tha, kha, dha. Dhal, I'm sorry. Dadig. Dad, dha, ghain. That's the whole alphabet. In the traditional method, you can master the alphabet and saying the whole alphabet in 5 minutes. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, kurishat, thaqid, dadig. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, kurishat, thaqid, dadig. I'm sorry, our teachers in the past, they didn't let us put our hand on the floor.
Oh, excuse me.
They, not just both of you, they wouldn't let us do that. Okay? And it was a thing of muru'ah. There's a science in Islam called muru'ah. It's called manhood. Okay? Chivalry, they call it. And it's been lost in translation because it's not really, chivalry being like a knight, but it's having certain type of, character that men are supposed to have. Okay? They wouldn't let us lean on the walls. They wouldn't let us put our hands on the floor. And if we did put our hand down, we put our fist down. You know, even though you say, well, that's only when you're sitting like in the salah, they still wouldn't allow it in the science, in the circles of knowledge. They wouldn't allow it in certain circles of knowledge because they wanted you to be sharp. They wanted you to be awake and to be alert. Yes, sir. No problem. It's like Farid Abdullah, Hafidhullah, used to say, the ruling, there is no exception. There's no ruling on exception, I should say. Exception, there's no rule. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So, if there's a person that has an exception, then this doesn't count for that person. Okay? But for those people who don't have the exception, then the rule is applied. Okay? Then the rule is applied. So, I'm not to offend anybody, you know.
No, it's just sometimes, you know, saying when I get pain, I just put my hand down.
ما فيش مشكلة. تفضل. You know. One person had something with his leg and he stretched his leg and Free told him, look, you shouldn't put your feet, your bottom of your feet towards the qibla. The person explained he had a problem. He said, tafaddal, put your legs forward. Have no, you know, go about your business. You know, likewise, those people who have those exceptions, do what you got to do. Otherwise, sit up. Be sharp. Grow like a tree. Be an example for the children. You know what I mean? So they can look up and say, I'm going to be like that when I grow up. But if you look like Joe the Slouch, children are going to say, well, you know, I guess we slouches. No, nobody wants to be slouches. Anyway, Abjad, how was Huttiya Kaliman, Sa'fas, Qurishat, Fakhid, Dadig. Say Fa, Fakhid, Dadig. Okay, now, after memorizing that, have you memorized it? Let's hear it.
Abjad, how was Huttiya Kaliman, Sa'fas, Fakhid,
Qurishat,
Qurishat, Fakhid, Dadig.
Dadig. Make your mouth round. Say Dadig. Everybody say da. Dadig. 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 Say fakhid. You got to stick that tongue out and it's soft. Fakhid. Dadig. Abjad. Hawaz. Huttiya. Kaliman. Sa'fas. Qurishat. Fakhid. Dadig. Recite it. Huttiya. Qurishat. Fakhid. Fa. Everybody say fa. See my tongue? Fa. 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 Stick your tongue out. It's called a teeth and tongue. Qasim Ahmed, back in the days, he used to call it that. Fakhid. 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 And you need wetness in the back of your tongue to put that kha out. Remember they used to tease, oh, that's that hakamu. Yeah, it's that hakamu language. Fakhid. Dadig. Fakhid. Dadig. Abjad. Hawaz. Huttiya. Kaliman. Sa'fas. Qurishat. Fakhid. Dadig. Abjad. Hawaz. Huttiya. Kaliman. Sa'fas. Qurishat. Fakhid. Dadig. Now we go to the next part. Go up. This is called the Legend of the Giant Kings. Okay. When you study, there are some things that come as what they call myth, right? A myth is a story, or a legend is a story that has truth, but we cannot establish it with Quran and Sunnah. We cannot establish it with a hadith from the Messenger of Allah. We cannot find it in the Quran. But this is a statement that we do find archaeologically. We do find bit-tatabba'i. Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he used to mention that with this science, tatabba'naha. We followed it. Okay, we followed the science. We researched it and found that it only breaks down into 3 types of words, right? Through researching it, sneaking up afterwards. Likewise, when we studied and researched this science, we found this story in more than enough places that it was established. But we can't establish it through Quran and Sunnah, so we call it a legend. This is called the Legend of the Giant Kings. It goes, it's said that the Arabs were always great speakers and listeners, but not always good readers and writers. It's said that once upon a time, no Arab could read or write. In fact, it's said that there was a time where they didn't even have an alphabet. That was during the time of the 6 giant kings. The 6 stingy kings of Midian. Abu Jad was the oldest. Now Abu Jad, his name, it means father of my grandfather, which means the great grandfather. And he was the oldest. Next came Hawaz, Huttiya, and Kalman. Now Kalman was the most recognized out of all these kings. Why? Because Kalman had a sister. It said that all these people, they were the descendants of Abu Jad. Maybe his sons and his nephews. But Kalman, he had a sister, and he used to come to the market with his sister all the time. And when he came to the market, people used to say, oh, wow, look, there goes Kalmun, there goes Kalmun. And they would gather around him hoping that he would give them some sadaqah. But he never did, because remember, these were 6 stingy kings. As the story goes, then comes Sa'fas and Qurishat, the 2 that came after them. The 6 kings were only concerned with themselves. They never did anything to help anybody. It reminds of the different kings, how they act sometimes. And in the land of the 6 kings, there were a lot of people in need. Why? There was only a little bit of water. And in their area, there was a small amount of water. It wasn't in Tasharat. It wasn't all over the place. So they had to wazen it out. And the kings, they took most of the water for themselves and only left a little bit for the people. This was difficult because they lived in a very hot climate. And as the years went by, the water mostly dried up. So there was only enough water for the kings now. What did the people do? The people gathered around the king's castles and they demanded, give us some water, share the water with us. But what do kings do when people protest? They send the troops out. They send them, if you guys don't get out of here, we can kill you. And you won't really need some water. So the people started to go away. As they were going away, they noticed big clouds in the horizon, like outside where they lived. The kings also noticed it. They thought it was what? Rain clouds. It was been a drought, no rain, water's drying up, it's getting hot by the day. The king's troops came rushing out of the castles and told the people, you guys stay here. We're going to go sit under the clouds and get the first rain to come down on us, and we're going to benefit from it, and then we'll let y'all get some rain. But right now, y'all stay inside the citadel. Ain't that greedy and stingy? You know? So then they go under it, and what happens? What happens is that the cloud starts to turn red and gray. It starts to thunder and lightning and roar. And those people were killed. It said the cloud, in some narrations, that the cloud fell on top of them. It said that the cloud crushed them. It said that the cloud choked them. It said that the cloud drowned them. It said that the cloud struck them with lightning. There's so many different statements, but the bottom line is that the cloud killed every last one of them. Shortly thereafter, some people from Al-Anbar and different places, other areas, passed through, and they were told this story. These people, they were educated people. They said, well, why don't you all y'all don't have no way to document this? You don't have no writing system? Why don't you take the names? They noticed that the names of those kings matched with most of the letters in the alphabet, the tantak, the way that people talk. And so these people, they wrote out these letters and said, here, take this one's name, and they made the alphabet, utilizing the letters of these kings' names. Now I told you there were 6 kings. When they got to the last king, Qurishat, they realized there were still 6 more letters. And so they made up, or came up somehow and devised 2 more words, Thaqid, Dadid, to complete the alphabet that or the language that these people were talking. And that is how the Arabs came up with their writing system. And that is why you'll see in Hebrew, when you look it up, it'll have Abjad, Hawaz, Huttiya, Kaliman, Sa'fas, Qurishat. They'll start with Qurishat. You look up in Russian, it'll say Abjad, Hawaz, Huttiya, all the same. In all the worlds, Greek and Latin, follow this Abjadiyya. And all of them, they don't know where it came from. They say it came from Phoenicians. They say they don't have the story. Someone made up these names. It just shows that they were poor students. And they didn't listen clearly to the story, because the Arabs clearly tell you where these names came from, who these people were, and how they derived it into an alphabet. And that's what we have here. Go on down, please. Keep going down, please. Here goes one of the poems that's found. The archaeologists found a poem that the sister of Kalmun wrote eulogizing her brother. The gist of it has been translated as follows. There goes Kalmun, his people once cried, but my brother was busy and never replied. He rode off without us while laughing and proud the day that he died inside of a cloud. And that's basically the gist of the poem that they found, and of course been translated. Going down, they call the last two, stop right here. They call the last two words Ar-Rawadif. They call them what? Ar-Rawadif. You have to know that. The 6 kings are Abjad, Hawaz, Huttiya, Kaliman, Sa'fas, Qurishat. The Rawadif or Thaqid, Dadig. You need to know that. Those are the 2 words that they came up with. How they came up with them, we don't know. I can explain more to you after you do some studies, and I'll explain to you that Sa'fas wasn't his name. His name was Sa'fad. And Qurishat wasn't his name. His name was Qurisat. So they did some maneuvering to make sure that those names felt in there. So they changed Sa'fad into Sa'fas. And they took the Dad and put it on Dadig. They took Qurishat, because they already had the scene from Sa'fas, and they made it Qurishat. These are some of the manipulations that they did to the names. The name was, they had Thaqul, Dadig, you'll find it in different places like that. Some remarks on Arabic writing. Men have differed concerning who first originated the Arabic script. Hisham al-Kalbi said that the first to form it was a group of Bedouin Arabs encamped with Adnan ibn al-Ud. Their names were Abu Jad, Hawaz, Hutti, Kalmun, Sa'fad, and Qurisat. The Arabs originated writing for their names and then discovered other letters not in their names. That is the Ta, the Kha, the Dal, the Dha, the Sheen, and the Ghain, which they called Ar-Rawadif. It is said that these men were kings of Midian, whose destruction was on the day of the cloud at the time of Shu'aib the prophet, for whom may there be peace. We stop here and make a mention. Ulama of our era have researched this statement, this last statement, that this was the same cloud, because it speaks of it in the Quran, of a cloud coming down and destroying the people in the time of Shu'aib. And they have said this is not the same incident. Okay, they have said this is not the same incident. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, so we do not attribute this incident to the Prophet Shu'aib. Does everybody understand me? So don't be confused when you hear the same story someplace else. Say, well, no, that's how the alphabet. No, it's a different incident. Wallahu a'lam. Then it goes, Ibn Abbas said, the first persons to write Arabic were 3 men of Bawlan, a tribe inhabiting Al-Anbar, who came together and originated the letters, both separated and joined. They were Murrah, Aslam, and Amir. Murrah originated the forms, Aslam, the separations and connections, and Amir, the diacritical points, and Allah knows best. So, this is what we would form under the sign. That's the end of it. You can take it off the board, please. This is what we see as your first or your second lesson in understanding what you're doing here in learning Arabic. You are going to know everything you need to know to be familiar and complete in your understanding of the Arabic language. I expect you to know Murrah, Aslam, and Amir. Amir came with the diacritical points. So let's say, what is a diacritical point? What is a diacritical point? A diacritical point, or I'm sorry, it shouldn't be point, it should be mark. Jazakallah khair. A diacritical mark is any mark that you put on two or more similar letters to distinguish them from each other. Does that make sense? So example, if I write this. Sorry. I say, this one is Jim, Ha, Kha. I put a diacritical mark under it, it's Jim. I leave it off, it's Ha. I put one above it, it's Kha. Does that make sense? That is the definition of diacritical mark. Who came up with diacritical marks?
Murrah.
No. Murrah came up with the forms. Aslam came up with the separations and the connections. Amr came across with the what? Diacritical marks. You need to know that. It just completes you. You understand? Now, let me erase this thing off the board. The next thing that we do in learning from the traditional method of learning the alphabet is that we practice. How do we practice? I'm sorry. We say a, ba, ja, da. Abajada. Hawaza. Hawaza. Abajada. Hawaza. Hattaya. Kalamana. Sa'afasa. Qarashata. Thakhadha. Thakhadha. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. فَخَذَ ضَضَغَ ضَضَغَ. This is just the fathas, okay? Fatha. Everybody say fatha. Fathatun. So, we practice this. We say abajada, hawaza, hataya, kalamana, sa'afasa, qarashata. Louder. Thakhadha, ضضغ, أبجد, هوز, حطي, كلمان, سعفص, قرشت, ثخذ, 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 ضضغ. Now we stop, and you do that at least 100 times. Then we go.
Write this down?
Yes, you have to write this down. I'm sorry. You have to write this down. And when I said do this 100 times, that's part of your homework. To write this down. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Tafaddal, the sisters are still here. It's no problem. Now, the next part. We've done the fatha. Now we're going to do the dhamma. Everybody say dhammatun. I'll give you a moment to write while I take care of some things on this board. And the point is here, when we take the time to do this right, you get very well good. You get good. Very well good. Listen to me. Yes, sir. Okay. You guys ready? Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that you could have written it like you wrote abjad up there? Separated?
I want it separated right now. I wanted that one separated, and I put these together purposely.
Okay.
Because I wanted to show, first, we'll get to that. You know, yes, I could have put them all together. But in the first one, I want to show you what we were actually doing. And now, put it together so you... Excuse me?
I wanted you to write them individually.
We'll do that when we do it in the modern way. Okay? Right now, in the tradition, there's a difference between the traditional way and the modern way. In the traditional way, you learn how to hear it, and you learn how to say it real strong. In the modern way, you learn how to write it in its individual forms stronger. That's why I said we're going to do both. Okay? We're going to do both. All right. We're almost done, people. Here we go. Dhamma. Everybody know what Dhamma? First, let me go back. Maybe I made a mistake here. Fathatun. Say Fathatun. You see how I separated them? Fathatun. That's the word. We say Fathah. And we let that air out. But it's not Fathah. It's Fathah. Fathatun. Fathatun means to open. Okay? Open something. Like you open the door. Then you have Dhammatun. Dhammatun is to squeeze something, to hold it. Dhamminuhu. Naam. Dhamminuha. You know, to be joined together. Okay? But here it means the oo sound. Everybody say oo. Ooh. This is one of the sounds that Americans are lazy tongue. They don't do it. They don't put their lips together. Look at my lips. Ooh. Ooh. I want everybody, when you do this until you leave my classes, when you do it, you do ooh, ooh, ooh. And you put your lips consciously together. Ooh. Ooh. Now, we're going to go through this. Ubu judu. Huwuzu. Hutuyu. Kulumunu. Su'ufusu. Kurushutu. Thukhudhu. Dudughu. Ubujudu. Huwuzu. Hutuyu. Kulumunu. Su'ufusu. Kurushutu. Thukhudhu. Dudughu. Ubujudu. Huwuzu. Huwuzu. Woo. Huwuzu. Hutuyu. Hutuyu. Kulumunu. Su'ufusu. Kurushutu. Thukhudhu. Dudughu. Ubujudu. Huwuzu. Hutuyu. Kulumunu. Su'ufusu. Kurushutu. Thukhudhu. Dudughu. Ubujudu. Huwuzu. Hutuyu. Kulumunu. Su'ufusu. Su'ufusu. Kurushutu. Thukhudhu. Dudughu. A little bit easier. Ubujudu. Huwuzu. You have to put that woo. Huwuzu. Hind or skuti anti. Hutuyu. Don't you see I come with a lot more strength? Hutuyu. Kulumunu. Su'ufusu. You gotta reach them. Su'u. Fusu. That su is like the word saw in English. Say the word saw. I saw him, or I'm sawing. That's the saw. We can pronounce it. Like you saw something, or you saw in half, right? Or you say the lady Sue. How you doing, Sue? That's the sound of the saw that we have in English. Su'ufusu. Kurushutu. Thukhudhu. Soft. Thukhudhu. Thukhudhu. Your tongue is soft against your top teeth. Thukhudhu. Stick it out your mouth. Thukhudhu. Dudughu. And the difference between the and this is the. Vu. Your tongue rounds in the mouth. Vu. Vu, vu, gu. 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 Like Google. Gu. That's what's that goo on the bottom of my shoe. Goo. Okay, we got that, right? This is what you have to do 100 times at least. I would say, what's my normal number? 500. Because at 100, you just get accustomed to it. You're just getting used to it. But if I said 500, you probably wouldn't do any. But if I say 100, you probably do 150. So we'll go with the 150 over any, you know. But do this. This is the stuff that you have to do. It'll come out in your recitation. It'll come out in your pronunciation. We have one more to do. You can write this one down while I make my corrections on the board. Okay, everybody. You notice that it says kesratun. Everybody say kesratun. Kesratun. Kesratun is a word in Arabic means to break something. Kasara, to break it. Say kesra. Kasara. Okay, so here as a terminology, it represents the E sound. Everybody say E. And it says something is being dragged. E. Okay? Kesra. E. Here we're going to have to go through the whole alphabet again, but now we're going to practice the E sound. Okay? Watch. Note that the Hamza is now on the bottom, not on the top. And we did the Fatha and the Dhamma first because those two are Aslin. Right? Fatha and Dhamma always are going to be there. Right? Right, the two Imams. We remember that from our lessons in Ajrumiyya. Now, EBGD, Hiwizi, Hittiyi, Kilimini, Si'ifisi, Qirishiti, Thikhidi, Dididi, EBGD, Hiwizi, Hittiyi, Kilimini, Si'ifisi, Qirishiti, Thikhidi, Didigi, Ibijidi, Hiwizi, Hittiyi, Kilimini, Si'ifisi, Qirishiti, Thikhidi, Didigi, Ibijidi, Hiwizi, Hittiyi, Kilimini, Si'ifisi, Qirishiti, Thikhidi, Didigi. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Ibijidi, Hiwizi. Come on, give me some strength. Allah says in the Quran, خُذِ الْكِتَابِ بِقُوَّةٍ. Don't allow me to sleep here. Ibijidi, Hiwizi, Hittiyi, Kilimini, Si'ifisi, Qirishiti, Thikhidi, Didigi, Ibijidi, Hiwizi, Hittiyi, Kilimini, Si'ifisi, Qirishiti, Thikhidi, Didigi, And if you can do those letters like that, through practice, through practice, through practice, and then through practice, you won't find words like this in this construction. All those kesras, all those dhammas, all those, well, the fathas might be there like that. And so your tongue, it'll become easier for you to pronounce those words. But you have to put in the work. You can't buy your way into Arabic. You can't take time and just say, I'll just lay here long enough and I'll eventually get it. No. Change don't mean progress. Okay? You have to do something. Now, write these down. And the way I know you're going to do it at least 100 times, because you're going to write it down 100 times. I want you to write this construction out. Ibijidi, hiwizi, hirtiyi, all the way down the kesras 100 times. I do not want to see this. E. No. I want I, B, G, D. You see what I did? I wrote the letter, put the kesra, then I said the word out loud. You write it, then you go E, B, G, D. Then you go on. He, we, Z. All right? Now, I want them together, though. I'm sorry. I want like this. I want this. A, B, G, D. A, B, G, D. You do it. Then go on to the next one. Ha, we, Z. He, we, Z. Okay? I want you to write it out 100 times. That's with the kesra. With the dhamma, 100 times. With the fatha, 100 times. And if you think, well, I already know this, I'm always familiar. Don't you think I already know it? I got to read it 600, 700, 800, 900 times doing your homework. But if that's what we have to go through in order to get to a state of perfection, a state of excellence. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adl wal ihsan. Allah has ordered us ya'muru bil adl, to be just and excellent. And Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in that tremendous hadith in Arba'in an-Nawawi, the 40 hadith in Nawawi, Inna Allah kataba ala kulli shayin ihsanan. Allah has written on everything and prescribed for everything excellence. So if you slaughter, sharpen your knife. Turihu dhibhik. You know, to make the thing that you're slaughtering go away easy. Write these out. Abajada, hawaza, abajada, huwuzu, and what do you call it? EBG. EBGD. Each one of them. Abajada, ubujudu, and EBGD. 100 times. Each one by itself. Does that make sense? Inshallah. I need you to do that work for me. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي and استغفر الله. One point. Those people that's watching from the internet and the people that order the courses and they send them, you send the work in. That's how it's got to be. Send the work in, and you don't get no other lesson until you send the work in. It's no sense to go forward if you can't finish where you at. Okay? أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.